I had an awesome time reading Tower of God. If you've never seen it, it's about this nerd Bam who finds his way into the titular tower to chase after Rachel. She was his whole world, but left to climb the tower so she could see the stars at the top or something. We don't like her, so I don't remember. The basic premise is that you get a wish granted to you when you reach the top, and every floor has tests and supervisors all the climbers need to get past to keep ascending. Now, with that out of the way, for day 4 of Webtoon Week, I'm here to tell you why I dropped it. I read a ton of the manhwa. I'm not an anime only, even though I'm sure not very many people are. So when I say all of this, this is with knowledge of hundreds of chapters of what goes on in the future. And I'll say this up front as well. As I said, I had a good time reading it. I didn't drop it because I thought it was outright garbage, and there were plenty of things I did enjoy, like the world building. I loved going to different floors and seeing how the societies there were different, how different groups were in power and would impose like different ways of living, different rules on all the floors. I enjoyed the lore behind the tower itself and the systems we had in place with, the regulars entering the towers, the legends which we had come before, all the irregulars who always ended up ranking at the top of that list. I don't remember. That list was pretty hype, I must say. The one with all the strongest guys ever. I was always someone who would get all giddy inside whenever I'd get a list of super strong dudes who were like in charge of the world. I loved stories like that. And on top of that, something I can't say for a lot of stories is that it made me feel. I don't hate many characters, but I hate Rachel. You see, making me beef with somebody, that's an accomplishment. But, okay, no, we're still on the good things. The pacing was not bad. Like, once they got on that train and everything, you see, they were moving at a good speed throughout the story. Through the, I'm just gonna call it the admission test. I don't remember what it was, like, to start climbing the tower, like the first floor and stuff. I loved the pacing through that, the stuff which got adapted into season 1. I really enjoyed, the small time skip, which led into our travels with Juvial Grace. Man, people having different identities and getting hyped up for those. You see, that character arc I was talking about, did I say that in the script? Oh no, I cut that out. You see, Bam had a top 10 character arc in like everything. Okay, I'm exaggerating right now because I'm not working with my script today, but man, you see, there were plenty of things I liked, but I just could not keep going with Tower of God because the problems started mounting up. 1, there were too many characters. I read One Piece. I'm a fan of One Piece, so this isn't a complaint you should really be expecting from me too often, but something we're going to get to later on is why this became a problem. We'd spend so much time following characters I didn't care as much about instead of following the characters I was absolutely in love with, who were honestly some of our main guys. Like a blue-haired guy like Kun or something. I'm sorry, it's been a long time. And the crocodile dude, you see, he was awesome. So instead of them, it would be all of those random other scrubs and princesses and everybody else who I just did not really... Well, if they died or lived, won, lost, it didn't bother me too much. And speaking of spending time with characters I didn't like, we didn't have enough side quests and mischief with the characters I did. The pacing was good, I'll give it that, but then every now and then I want to see my story like just have those small slice of life arcs where nothing's happening whatsoever. Just some character development, character interactions. I love seeing, the dudes just hang out and chill, and we don't get very much of that in Tower of God, so when my relationship with the characters I'm reading about starts weakening, slowly I stop being as engaged and wanting to see where they end up going. And while we're talking about losing engagement, there was a very, very long hiatus during one of the seasons. That's what I didn't really manage to come back from because it highlighted all of these problems to me. That's the thing I said I was going to circle back around to. When a story goes on break for that long, and I read Hunter x Hunter, Berserk, I'm not going to fault a creator for going on a hiatus, like Vagabond as well. I'm not going to fault a creator for going on a hiatus if it's something that preserves their health and allows them to continue with the story in the long run. I read World Trigger too. Did any of you see that? Like, World Trigger is a banger. But as I was saying, I digress when I'm not reading words one by one. Coming back from a super long break is something which is just hard to do when you keep on going like nothing happened in between, because it's way too long of a story for me to just casually reread, as much as I've thought about doing so. But when we cut back into the action and there are games going on which have complicated rules which I do not want to force myself to try and learn, it just feels like there's that barrier to entry which made it hard for me to keep going. I mean, even today, it's not that I hate Tower of God, it's just over time I've started falling out of love, and I wonder if any of you guys have ever felt the same way. The cat and the dog fighting was something which I was really hyped for when it was being built up initially, and I loved seeing Bam's escalating position in the world because I'm like, oh, look at our boy, he's doing so good for himself. But as time passes in between these two events, like two halves of one event really, I don't even remember what the games they were playing were for at this point. I just remember that like Baylord Yama was, I'm surprised I remember his name. Baylord Yama was one of the people who was in charge and like facilitating all of this, and it was probably to do with his revenge or something like that. But I don't even know what my point is right now. I don't even know why you're watching, but I'm just saying it's hard to stay in love and stay focused when I'm thrust back into something which doesn't give me the time to ramp up, and it goes back to, as I said before, some of the characters I didn't really care about, and no side quests or anything where it's just like chilling and being like, okay, I enjoy doing this, like reacquainting me with the characters. It goes right back into all of the, well, plot, and that's something I fault other stories for not being able to do, but it's one of those things where I think balance is really important. And I guess that's like it. I'm gonna sum it up as, because, well, I've summed it up enough times already. I guess I'm just gonna outro now and say thanks for watching. Come back for the next day of Webtoon Week. I've already finished making 2 videos and I'm trying to make 7 in 3 days, so I hope you understand. Not all of them are super scripted, and Tower of God, you were the fodder for today. Merry Christmas, by the way. I think that's when this video might be coming out. If you're watching this on Christmas, I hope you have a good one. I'm gonna say Merry Christmas in like 2 videos, cause time zones, and have fun. Bye-bye.